How do you actually start believing that there's a guy out there for you who matches your criteria, who's attractive, who is going to make you feel cherished and loved and adored, and who is going to be the leader and the visionary and take the leadership role in your couple? It can feel very difficult to actually build this belief. And if you've ever studied the law of attraction, then you might have heard they say you get what you believe. So, our first step is really to build this belief that the guy you want is out there for you. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to make it happen. My name is Malaika Neri. I have been helping high achieving women around the world for the past 7 years to find the love of their life, fall in love, and get engaged. I have over 20 years of dating experience at this point, and have lived in 10 countries around the world. So I'm sharing advice based on a huge sample set that will work no matter where in the world you live. It's not cultural. It's not based on me living in one city for the past 12 years or something like that. And it will work for you as long as you want to fall in love and start a serious relationship leading to marriage and family. Let's dive in. Step one, go to the link in my bio and get my AI birth chart prompt. You just copy paste it into your own ChatGPT account. It will literally tell you what kind of man is you are destined for and when you're going to meet him and fall in love and get engaged. So this is the number one way to build belief that love is in your future, that the right guy is in your future, that you are actually going to meet this guy and fall in love and get engaged. Your birth chart is like a map of your personal life. It is based on traditional Indian astrology, where astrologers, who tended to be men and priests, so men who were never going to get married, studied astrology for thousands of years in India. They studied the motions and the movement of the planets based on the time, date, and location where you were born, and then could make predictions on what would happen in the rest of your life, including in your love life. When I found this prompt and I did my own birth chart reading based on it, I was shocked by the results. It literally explained both the ups and the downs in my life. It explained why certain things happened when they happened. And it also explained what changes were coming up in my love life, in my career, and even what kind of places I'd live in. It was amazing. And so this is the number one starting point for you to build this belief that the kind of man you want is out there for you. So go ahead, grab it via the link in the description below and download it to your device. In less than 5 minutes, you get an answer on when you're going to meet the right guy for you. But let's say you download the prompt. It tells you, okay, September next year, you're going to meet the right guy, fall in love, and get engaged. But how do you keep that belief going until September next year? What do you actually do? Let's talk about it. So one, I want to validate that it is completely normal to struggle to believe. So many of my students grew up with parents who had arranged marriages. All they've seen their entire childhood is two people who really dislike living with each other live with each other and like try and make it work. Divorce can be heavily stigmatized in Indian culture, so many people will just live together without being together. And this is what a lot of my students grew up seeing, and they're like, better to be alone than to be in an unhappy marriage. And for a lot of them, it's like marriage by definition is unhappy. I totally get this, and I want to remind you, it is normal if you feel that way. The second thing is that a lot of people that of our age will get married, but not necessarily to a guy who they think is amazing. He's just there. So I've seen this happen all around me from the time I was 18 years old. A lot of people will pick partners that resemble their parents, which again, going back to Freudian psychology, Freud, who was a famous Austrian psychiatrist, whatever, he said that we women tend to pick a guy who's like our fathers, and of course men pick women like their mothers. And so many of my friends picked guys who were like their fathers, but not necessarily good partners. Like some of their partners are chaotic, some of their partners have zero financial planning skills, don't know how to save money, like don't know how to spend money, Some of them married men who are cheap. Some of them married men who are emotionally manipulative. But these men were available, they met them early, and so rather than look for a great relationship, they settled for a relationship that was available. No judgment, but this is, if you see this, it can lead you to think, oh my God, I don't want that. Like, is that all there is? And so, again, I want to validate you if you believe that everyone around you is in a mediocre relationship and you struggle to believe that great relationships exist. Like, I want to validate that that is completely normal, and it is normal to feel that way. I saw this for many years, and now, especially after so much time has passed, having watched these friends in these relationships for many years, I feel so much both compassion for them, because I think they were just driven by the terror of the biological clock and the terror of, at least I have someone, especially when you're living in a Western country. Life can be extremely lonely. You need a partner. Even a mediocre partner is better than no one, just because life in the West is so lonely, and you can literally go days without talking to anyone if you don't live with your partner. At a certain point, we all outgrow roommates. So what do you do if you don't have a partner? It's awful. And I completely understand these friends and their choices, and I make no judgment about them. But if you actually want a great relationship with a man who you respect, who respects you, who treats you with love, who makes you feel cherished and loved and adored, how do you go about even believing that this is possible for you? Even if your birth chart tells you, hey, he's coming, he's on the way for you, how do you actually deeply within your solar plexus, within your gut, like feel that belief to the point where that belief, you can feel it from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed? Just like if the forecast predicts rain and you've lived in that city for a few years, you can feel it in the air. Yes, it's going to rain. So you don't have to build that belief. You already have that belief. It's going to rain. I better pack an umbrella for today. That's what we want to build, right? So how do you actually do it? I want to start by saying that you don't have to do it all at once. So you might be watching this and thinking, if I don't believe in love, then the opposite of love is a belief that I should be single forever and just get a cat. And there are a lot of women out there like that. They think all men are dogs. So no good guys exist. And of course they meet no one, right? Because they literally believe all men are dogs. So they only meet dogs. Your life will be whatever you believe. But it can be very difficult to build a belief overnight. So you want to build it step by step. And my mentor taught me this while I was building my business. She said, you don't have to believe that you can make $1 million overnight. You just have to believe that you can make $1. Just one. And I thought to myself, well, of course I can make $1. Like, people will even give you $1 for free, like without getting anything in exchange. So that is how you want to start. You want to just build that belief in teeny tiny baby steps. And a baby step could be, I believe that a man could look at me and smile. That's it. He doesn't have to fall in love with you. He doesn't have to ask you out. He doesn't have to ask you to marry him. He can just look at you and smile on the bus, at a coffee shop, in a bookstore, at the office, on the train. He can just look at you and smile. Or even while you're driving and you look over at the man in the next car and smile, and he smiles back. That can be a teeny tiny baby step to build the belief. Another example could be, I believe a man could talk to me. Now, when I was traveling, I cycled from Alaska to Argentina. It was a 2-year-long journey. And very often I was alone by myself in the middle of a highway in a country I'd never visited before. Men would stop me all the time to ask for directions. And I was like, hello, like, I've never been here before. It happened so often, and I really couldn't figure it out. But I realized, like, part of it was driven by their own loneliness. Like, you're in the middle of nowhere. The highway is literally north to south. There's nothing for miles except trees and animals. Oh, shit. Like, there is nothing. And so they would see the cyclist. And I think just to make conversation, they would say, oh, like, is the next town this way or the other way? And part of me is like, you're driving, like I'm cycling, I go very slowly, but you're in a car, like you better be sure of your destination before you head out in the morning. And these days, everyone has Google Maps and GPS, right? So why would you need to ask a random cyclist for directions? But years later, I realized, oh, it's just a way of making conversation. Because what else are they going to say? Like, they couldn't take me to coffee because there was no coffee shop in the middle of nowhere. And so that can be a way to build a belief. A man is going to ask me for directions. It still happens to me all the time. I don't know why. Maybe I have like a friendly face or something. But people will ask me for directions all the time. And I realize they're just making conversation. Like, they're just creating a moment of connection. And that is a teeny tiny baby step on the way to falling in love. So, step one, build a belief in teeny tiny increments. You don't have to go from, I don't believe love is possible for me, there's no guy out there for me, all men are dogs, to my soulmate exists and he's on his way over to me and he's coming to my life. ETA 1632 on 17th of March. Like, no, you don't have to jump. You can go in baby steps. Step two, and this is my absolute favorite, read stories of people who did find love. So a lot of people found love, but they don't put it on the internet. I met so many of these people when I was traveling because I would ask everyone I met for their personal story on love, and if they were dating anyone, if they were married, how they met their person, and they would tell me their stories. And in Latin America, they don't have arranged marriage. They have a very flexible approach to relationships in general. People break up, they have a kid with one person, then they'll have a kid with another person. Sometimes they get married, sometimes they don't. Like, it's extremely flexible. And their mindset on relationships, especially in the younger generation, is pretty relaxed. So I would hear their stories of how they found love. And I remember meeting this woman. She was 53 years old at the time. She was running a restaurant in the middle of nowhere. So it was like you went through this mountain pass where there's absolutely nothing. Then you go down, and on the mountain pass, like there was really nothing. It was the road and the mountain. So there was no, you couldn't even build anything. And at the very end of the mountain pass, you get out of the mountains, and where the flat area begins, she had this restaurant literally in the middle of nowhere in the desert in Mexico, in Baja California. And she was working there. So I had finished the mountain pass and I ate dinner in that restaurant. And then they ended up hosting me for the night. They gave me a bed and I slept there. And as I was falling asleep, she came to my room to say goodnight, the owner of the restaurant, and I asked her about a love story. This young guy working in the restaurant, she was 53, he must have been about 35, and she said, he came to work here. I thought, what a courageous woman that she like works has this restaurant in the middle of nowhere. It was her grandmother's place. She took it over. She said, he came to work here. We started talking, we got to know each other, and one day he said, maybe we can try. And she said, I'm 53, you're 35. Like, it's kind of an age gap. And he said, but why not? Like, let's just try. And they fell in love. And she's like, I've never been happier. And the smile on her face, I mean, it was dark in this bedroom where I was sleeping. And I could see her teeth glinting because she was so happy. I mean, this guy had like 3 teeth, right? He wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger. But he loved her, and it made her feel so good in the middle of nowhere in the desert in Mexico. And she was happy with him. She had a person she could trust, who she felt safe with, who she felt loved and cared for by. It was such a beautiful story. And the more I heard stories like that, the more I realized love is extremely special, but it's also very normal. Like, lots of people fall in love. And so I've included 59 real case studies of smart women who found love below. Just click the link. You can check out all of the stories there, put them together for you. And step number 3 would be to understand how to recognize the right kind of person for you. So most women I speak to, they jump from, I've never dated before, to, I want to be married. And it's a gigantic leap. Nothing wrong with it, but it is a leap, right? And as humans, we don't quantum leap, we walk. Walk. So you can't quantum leap from never dated before, no dating experience, not dating anyone right now, to I'm married. Yes, it used to happen back in the day in India. Women would go from meet a guy to 5 days later getting married, but you don't want that. It's a shock to the nervous system, and it is absolutely terrifying and can lead to a lot of trauma. So I don't recommend it. Instead, I recommend that you start to recognize men who have the characteristics that you consider non-negotiable in your future partner. So, for example, having a bachelor's degree. Like every time you meet a man who has a minimum of a bachelor's degree, you can say, "Thank you, universe, for like showing me proof that the kind of man I want exists." Bachelor's degree. Only 30% of the population in most countries has a bachelor's degree. And in India, it is less than 15%. So it is not exactly common. But the more you see it, the more you reinforce your belief that what I want is possible. Maybe you like brown hair. So every time you spot a man with brown hair, you think, oh, thank you, universe, for showing me men with brown hair. Maybe you like men who wear whoops. So this is like the new thing. Guys who likes fitness or who like are interested in tracking their fitness, they wear these whoops. And in my opinion, it's such a useless wearable because it doesn't even tell you, like there's no screen, right, on a whoop. You can't see it. But a lot of people like to wear the whoop. And so maybe one criteria could be looking for people who wear whoops or men who wear the whoop wearable. And you're like, oh, thank you, universe, for bringing me men who care about their health and fitness enough to track it with a wearable that doesn't even tell you the time. That's one way. So you want to train your brain through pattern recognition that what you want is extremely achievable for you, that it's not special. And the more you train your brain that what you want is not special, the more that your brain will open up to the idea that finding love with this kind of man is not special. And that is when it actually happens. Meeting the love of your life isn't like fireworks going off, God playing drums, being like da 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 da, ding, here he is. There's no announcement. You just meet and you think, this is interesting. And every single person I've spoken to who met their guy, very often the men knew, but women almost never knew that it was the right guy. Almost never. And every relationship I've had, I've been so surprised that it turned into a relationship because the day and the minute that I met the person, I was like, okay, he's just another dude. But I was so shocked when we did fall in love that it ended up being with that specific guy. And as I got to know him, it made sense. Like, okay, we have common interests. Okay, we've got chemistry. Okay, we're compatible in all these different ways. But the minute I met, did I know? Absolutely not. So as a woman, chances are you are not going to recognize your husband the minute and the day you meet him. But you can start to recognize people who share his traits all around you all the time and make it normal for your brain and your psyche that men like this exist, that they are common. So one example is recently I met this guy. He had huge biceps and I was like, oh, it's so great that you have biceps. Like, that's really nice. And he's like, but where I live, this isn't special. And I was like, what an interesting perspective. So he lives in a city where there are a lot of gyms, a lot of people work out, a lot of guys have biceps. So he was like, it's not special to have biceps where I live. Just like that. So he retrained my brain to realize, oh, it's not special to be fit. Cool. And that is how you train your mind to understand that the right guy for you is already in your life. You just haven't met him yet, maybe, or you don't realize that it's that guy who's already in your life. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Please make sure you like and subscribe. And once again, the best way for you to build this belief is by grabbing my AI marriage prompt, which will literally tell you who is the right guy for you, what kind of energy he has, when and how you're going to meet him, what month you're going to meet him, where you'll be living when you meet him, where he lives, what profession he has, what he does. It was incredible for me personally, and I know it's going to be life-changing for you. So just click the link below and grab it, and in less than 5 minutes you will have your answer on what your husband is actually like and how you can recognize him when you meet.